Good evening, I'm Dr. Oculus. So, I got the Cosmos installed. I had just the right ports left on my graphics card and was able to free up one USB 3 port, which means it allows me to have the Rift, the Quest and the Cosmos all plugged in at the same time. First world problems, I know. Setup for the Cosmos was fairly simple. All you need to do is install Viveport. However, because of the previously mentioned Rift, Viveport used that as my headset and didn't register the Cosmos at all. This was fairly easily fixed by going into the settings and selecting to add a new device. Once installed, it was a case of connecting the controllers to the headset and off I went. When I first grabbed the controllers, my first thought was, wow, they're weighty and a little cumbersome. They fit in my large shovel-like hands well enough, and the sticks are a welcome change from touchpads. But then there's a second trigger, and I don't know what that's for, and apparently neither did developers. On the odd occasion when I did push it, it acted more like the trigger below it. Speaking of the trigger, whilst they do sense the distance and the pull of the trigger, there's a very firm click at the end. Why? I don't know if it's that I've been ruined by using the Oculus Touch controllers and, console pads over the years, but it just seemed very, very odd, and it made the whole process just that little bit harder and even sometimes immersion breaking. To me, it just seems like a bad choice. Then it was time to don the headset. Now, the first thing I thought when I put the headset on was that the FOV of the Cosmos was ridiculously small. Like, I've never been so aware of my surroundings than I have when I put on the Cosmos. Like, I've never seen that before. The second thing that hits you is that the sweet spot is really, really tiny. It took quite a bit of adjustment and tweaking and moving to try and find it, but I do feel that with time and regular use you would eventually find it easier, and I am starting to get to the point where putting on the headset, it's a little bit more second nature than what it was the first few times I put it on. I suspected that the FOV issue was down to a large but extremely soft facial interface. It was incredibly comfortable, in fact, and I really did like it. But with the headset being second-hand and the previous owner probably requiring glasses, I thought, oh, maybe there's another batch in the box like there is with the Oculus Rift and the Oculus Quest where you get the glasses adjustment. But there isn't. So I rummaged around in my stash and found a spare Quest interface and gave that a try, and it was an instant improvement. However, because of the halo strap design, there was a large portion of the foam still in the way. So I thought, I'll take to the internet, most reliable source, probably VRcover, but it looks like the Cosmos is so rarely used that they haven't found it worth developing padding for the Cosmos. Nobody has. So reluctantly I took out a pair of scissors and went to town cutting out a section to accommodate the halo padding, but I do now have a very comfortable, easily wiped, improved FOV facial interface. Speaking of the halo strap, I found the strap on the Cosmos to be one of its better features. The halo strap on the PSVR, for example, has padding around the temples, and this presses after long play sessions, causing me pain and even headaches. But the Cosmos, perfectly balanced, fits beautifully, and it doesn't give me any issues. The audio that it provides is way better than anything that Oculus does with the Quest and their built-in audio solution. I haven't tried a Rift S, but I am understanding that that also leaves a lot to be desired. When it comes to other sections of audio though, listen to this microphone comparison between my Rift, my Quest, and the Cosmos. This is a recording with the Oculus Rift. Good evening, I'm Dr. Oculus. This is a recording with the Oculus Quest. Good evening, I'm Dr. Oculus. This is a recording with the Vive Cosmos. Good evening, I'm Dr. Oculus. The Cosmos mic is by far and away the worst mic of the bunch. I'm not sure if this is the case with all HTC headsets, but they have got a long way to go on this front. Now, for playtesting. There's basically a handful of VR games that you can buy. Shooting, archery, sword fighting, tennis, sports, rhythm games. So to get an idea of how this headset would function with these, I sort of picked a few and figured I would give them a try and cover most bases in one form or another. So, Half-Life Alyx. Everybody wants to play Half-Life Alyx. It's a system seller. It is going to get people in headsets. It has gotten people in headsets that never ever bothered before. So if you're sat there with £700 and wondering if to buy a Cosmos, will you be able to play Half-Life Alyx? For the most part, from what I found, absolutely. The tracking rarely missed a beat. The only thing I found, from time to time when I would look at my hand, it would just start pulsing or throbbing for no reason. It just stopped pulsing. All the tasks in the game, however, were executed fairly well with ease. With Half-Life out of the way, the biggest area I figured it would fall would be first-person shooters, and boy was I right. I opted for contractors and played the tutorial, which was ghastly. You see, the rear controller blocks out the front controller, stopping it from being tracked, but the rear controller is lost because naturally you pull it to your face when you want to shoot accurately. The end result being, by the time you've stood there like Stevie Wonder at a firing range trying to line up a shot, you've been sniped from 7,000 miles away. Pistols and knives are fine. From esports we go on to sports, and I tried Thrill of the Fight. I figured that bringing gloves up to your face to block would be a very good test of the bubble effect of all inside-out tracked headsets. I have to say, in this instance it actually worked quite well. With the controllers up close, they didn't seem to have any issues with my hands, they didn't seem to wander or drift, they stayed where I wanted them. The only real issue I ran into was when I was doing a flurry of punches or going for a solid right hook, which from time to time seemed to just vanish like my bank balance when there's a Steam sale. At this point, we only have a few more bases to hit, so I figured why not kill two birds with one stone and play Beat Saber, rhythm and swords. Now let's face it, when you're done playing around with Jeff, you're going to want something else to play, and this is a no-brainer. I'm normally a hard-level gamer on Beat Saber, so I hopped in and it functioned mostly well. The biggest problem I had whilst playing the $100 bills was the right controller when swinging it upwards seemed to jump forward as if the force had stretched my arm. I have, however, whilst in lockdown, been trying to up my game and start playing expert levels on the Quest, and completing songs no less. So I upped the difficulty to expert, and this is where issues really started. Firstly, the quick movements with the Cosmos controllers just weren't tracked that well, and I found myself missing notes I normally wouldn't, or the saber being somewhere it shouldn't have been. That, plus the weight of the controller, meant it's much harder to swing, making me tired, I really felt it the next day, and worried about giving it the usual gusto I normally would with a much lighter controller. If you're going for scores, sadly the Cosmos, whilst functional, will deny you the dependability you need to get full combos. One of my favourite games to play on the Quest is Wreck-It NX, and the Cosmos, surprisingly, gave pretty great performance. It was responsive, and I even managed to get a behind the back shot. However, if you watch my coverage of the Quest version, when playing the game I soon really start to get into it, and once again, when you're doing quick and hard swings, the Wreck-It was back on a bungee cord trying to run away from me like it was being chased by a giant boulder. All in all, I managed to have a great time playing, and if you don't go too crazy, you shouldn't have too many problems. That just now leaves us with bows and arrows. For this I chose Apex Construct because it's a great game and it's frequently on sale, so if you made the mistake of buying a Cosmos, you should do yourself a favour and pick it up. While using the bow is ridiculously hard due to the bubble effect, you will eventually learn ways you can accurately shoot the bow with fairly decent results. Just don't use it like an actual bow and arrow. So, now I guess I should give my final feelings about the headset. The HTC Cosmos was a valiant attempt at trying to ditch the base stations and bring VR to the folks like me, who when I started out, I chose the Rift over the Vive because I didn't have the play space, and I didn't have sockets to power base stations. The screen and the display is far better than the OG Rift, and I would absolutely make it my go-to headset. The clarity, the colour, it is absolutely superb. As a VR headset, it is fantastic. The controllers, however, are a huge letdown. I have to say the battery life was much better than expected, and after hours of playing and tinkering, I'm still using the batteries that came in the controllers, so it looks like they've managed to improve it over the previously reported 2 hours. However, having 2 batteries in each controller is likely adding to the weight issue, and compared to the Rift or the Quest controller that just requires 1, it could be a bit of an inconvenience for some. But Doc, you can get the Cosmos Elite with amazing tracking! This is true, and I imagine it would make it a viable headset. However, this brings to the biggest problem of all: price. The current base Cosmos will set you back, in the UK, £700. Now for that price, just to give you a little bit of context, you can buy a 128GB Oculus Quest and still have £200 to spend on games to play on it. That can also be used tethered and tetherless using VR Desktop for PC gaming. It kind of makes you wonder why you would bother. It has way better tracking, and honestly, I don't remember the last time I had issues with the Quest and the hand tracking. The Cosmos Elite, well, how about, as near as makes no difference, £900? How does that take you? That's index money. With that, you can have base station 2.0 tracking and index controllers as well as a superior headset. So why would you bother? I feel with this kind of pricing, HTC will soon be out of the VR game, and there's no way they can compete with the other main players, and that'd be a shame. They're clearly still working on the Cosmos, and they want it to succeed. At this current price point, who are these headsets for? Oculus will sell you a Rift S for half the price, less tracking issues, and Vive will sell you a better headset with better controllers for £50 more. David Beckham, if you're watching and you need help setting up your Vive Cosmos, give me a call and I'll help you out, because I can't think of anybody else rich enough or daft enough to spend that kind of money on either of these headsets. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and if you have something you want me to try out on the Cosmos, let me know. I'll give it a bash and we can see how it goes down. But until next time, the Doctor is out.